Come back! Come back! Woo! This is crazy.
Hi all, welcome back to my channel and our traveling adventures. That was Chainsaw, an iconic Biggs killer whale that lives in the Pacific Northwest. Join us on today's adventure as we depart from Good Friday Harbor and go on a search for whales with Maya's Legacy Whale Watching Tour, where we run into Chainsaw and several other orcas from his pod. We're standing outside the Legacy Whale Watching Tour. We don't quite have a private tour like we've had luck with everything else. We've got 13 people on this tour. We just signed our waivers, paid our money, and next we'll be waiting for them to get us ready to get us on the boat and hopefully find some whale.
My name is Jeff, I'm your captain. I think you guys have all met Ellie. She's going to be our naturalist today. We're going to go see what's out there today. I can never tell you what we're going to see at this point. Every day is different, every trip is different. There's lots of wildlife that we're going to see. Exactly what, we'll see when we see. And we have a chance of seeing whales every time we leave the dock all year long, 12 months a year. It doesn't mean we see whales every time we leave the dock, but there is a chance every time. Excellent. Let's head on down, have a great time.
So we're going to be sitting in there the whole time? Or...
No, you're welcome when we're underway and when we're watching wildlife. You're welcome to go out front, back here, inside. One of the things we do when we're stopped with wildlife, we'll open the windows, and so you'll get, so everybody's able to spread out and get a front row view. And step all the way up to the middle. This collar, especially now that it's wet, it's soft, it's going to be slippery. You're going to be more stable with your foot planted on the metal. You can grab onto either side here, you can grab on up here. Really important when you step up to watch your head, so come on aboard. We literally get gale forecasts. We rarely cancel trips for weather ahead of time because we'll have forecasts of gale force winds and we've been out there and it's glass. So you just, and it goes the other way too. But it's a really difficult part of the world to forecast weather correctly.
So, trust in the safety and security of your boat. The U.S. Coast Guard has also certified this boat as safe.
After an introduction from the crew, we were underway. The seas were a bit rough as we made our way through the Rosario Strait across the Canadian border to the Salish Sea. But we all found these rough waters rather enjoyable.
We have two killer whales up ahead of us. And Ellie's it's gonna take me about 5 to 10 minutes to kind of get dialed in here. But Ellie's gonna give you lots of information, and you're here on the right day because these two killer whales are iconic. But these are the marine mammal-eating killer whales. This is a very healthy population.
Okay, this is the one that's
The bigs, yeah. This is probably the fastest growing population of killer whales on the planet.
Animals are matriarchal, which would explain why we have these two adult males here hanging out with their mamas. These are the biggest mama's boys in the animal kingdom. They will hang out with mom until she passes away. They are very tightly bonded.
Woo!
So you can tell
The Big's killer whales are transient orcas, different than the southern resident killer whale population. They were discovered by Dr. Michael Big as he was conducting the first survey of killer whales of the West Coast in the 1970s. Along the coast of the Pacific Northwest, West Coast Big's killer whales number around 400 individuals. We got extremely lucky. Instead of just a couple orcas, there turned out to be several mother and son groups in the area. There were 12 different killer whales that Captain Jeff and Ellie were able to identify. I bet you're wondering, how can they tell these killer whales apart? Well, orcas can be individually identified because they each have their own unique saddle patches, dorsal fin shapes, nicks, scratches, and scars. Being able to identify individual orcas allowed scientists to understand the social relationships and travel patterns of these killer whales. This is Chainsaw. This 42-year-old orca is a bucket list animal to see for many in the whale watching community. Its distinctive dorsal fin has several large notches in the top third that makes it look like a large saw blade.
Just cried?
Oh! We got some kelpie back here by one of the kiddos.
One thing is for sure, capturing the footage of these magnificent creatures on our cell phones from a rocking boat proved to be quite difficult. Despite the rocky footage, we had quite an amazing show. The number of orcas out to see us was awesome. This was truly a unique opportunity.
Perfect.
The tour doesn't always have this big of a turnout of marine wildlife. The killer whales must have been big fans of Kayak 7 Seas. So be smart like an orca and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and just wait. The show isn't over yet.
And as you can see, there's never a good time to leave. like they don't bow and say thanks for coming. We're gonna take a little break, and the next show is in an hour.
While there never is a good time to leave, the orca must have somehow known that our time was running short. They did manage to give us some spectacular final footage before our return back to Good Friday Harbor.
Oh, woo! Oh, goodness gracious.
I think we got chainsaw off the back, right? There we go.
Got it! Got it! Oh, yes.
Ellie and I were talking too. It's really unusual. So, like Chainsaw and his mom, when they do come down here to visit, it's typically sometime in April or May. This is really late to see him, which is cool. He was here in April and a little bit in May too, but he's been gone, I think, for a few weeks. He hasn't been seen, and everybody just kind of assumed, okay, he's going back up to Alaska. So very cool to see him and with the other families as well. And lots of orcas. Really cool to see them socializing, because you really get a sense of who they are and how they have this deep inner life and how they have a lot of similarities to us. So it's really cool, very unique, not something that you would see on every single day out here for sure. And especially to have that many together. So really appreciate you guys coming out. It's such a bummer. There's a restaurant called Coho.
As you can see, we saw quite a number of orca. Despite the rainy cold weather, we had a fantastic time with Maya Legacy Whale Watching Tours. Captain Jeff and Ellie were great guides. I highly recommend this tour. Just remember, when seeing wildlife, each tour will be different, depending on the wildlife activity. Thank you for joining us on this adventure.